Hey y'all, whether it's morning, evening, or afternoon, I'm just glad that you guys had decided to vibe with E. Yes, the one and only E. Hey y'all, what's up? What's poppin'? I'm so glad that you guys are here. For the ones that are new here, welcome, welcome, welcome. And for the ones that are not new to this but true to this, hey y'all, what's up? What's poppin'? And as always, bedtimes don't last forever because after every storm there is a rainbow. And I guarantee you, my friend, that little episode you may be having, it may not be in the best terms how you want things to go. It's okay. I promise you, because you're getting closer and closer every day to that rainbow, that pot of gold, whatever you're looking for, it's getting closer and closer every day. But also remember too, when it comes to them good times, we have to rely on the bad times because the bad times help us prepare to get to where we want to be at or where we're at now. Okay? Okay, so hey y'all, what's up? What's poppin'? It is the third Wednesday of the month, and I'm so excited about this vibe because, like I said, if you're new here, March is dedicated to women and social workers and other national things as well. But women's history and social work holds a dear special place in my heart because one, I am a woman and I'm making history, and two, I'm a social worker in the making. Okay, so the first vibe of this month, we talked about the empowerment of women. Then we talked about last week about sisterhood, and now this week, y'all, I cannot wait for y'all to hear about this vibe. But before we get into that, y'all, shout out to all the guests so far and the guests in the making who has been coming on vibing out with guests. I am so proud of how that bonus series is getting a lot of attention as well because y'all, I lied to y'all not. I was so nervous on doing Vibe It Out with guests because we all have obstacles in life. I had some hiccups with like just getting things rolling, from like just doing the agreements, for making it even shake, to like the sound and stuff like that. So I'm so glad for the people that have been doing the Vibing Out with guest appearances so far and who's about to do their Vibing Out with guest appearances, and for the people who has been helping me, from the engineers and things like that. So shout out to y'all, because if it wasn't for y'all, I don't think Vibing Out with guests would even be so big. And it's so crazy because like the more and more people that fill out the forms, the more and more people is like, dang, I want to do that. I want to be on there with you next song. I want to vibe with E. So I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. But as always, like I say, I thank y'all so very much for that. I see the views, the listeners, the listener numbers going up and things like that. Not even just within the vibing out with guest part, but also with just vibing out with E in general. But for both of those parts, y'all, it's like, wow. Because I never would have thought that vibing out with guests would be so like boom. Because the whole purpose of Vibing Out with Guests is every month I take 1 to 3 guests. However, for the month of March being though, how they say being though, but by it being March, Women's Month and Social Work Month, this month is dedicated to all my women. So this Vibing Out with Guest appearance for this month is more than 3. Is 4, I believe. I think, yeah, 4. And I was like, wow. Because at first I was like, am I ready for this? But it's like, why not? Because I love to hear people's stories. I love for people to express their opinions and their side when it comes to education and the wellness side. And so far the vibe's been amazing. Like when I started out in February, shout out to the guys that came through. March, shout out to the women. And April, oh y'all, I'm gonna tell y'all right now, the coach, the podcaster, whatever you want to call me, wellness coach, educator, whatever, he is about to graduate soon. And I'm not gonna lie to y'all, April will be a month that I am like, you know what? I'm gonna get done. I'm gonna get things done regardless. So for guest appearances, I'm only taking 2. I have 1 right now. I'm just waiting on 1 more person to come through and say, yeah, I wanna come vibe out. But until then, after graduation in May, we be back and rolling. Shoot, I might just extend it to 4, but for the safe side, I'm gonna keep it to 3. But like I said, in honor of March, we're going to keep it for 4. And yeah, I'm so happy. I'm so overwhelmed with joy that I'm able to have a platform that not only helps others, but I have a platform that allows others to come on there and express their feelings, signs and things like that. So shout out to all of y'all. That's why vibing out with guests is very important, because like y'all take the floor. It's your channel now. Not your channel now, but like this is your moment to say whatever, do whatever, and how you feel, because I would want the same thing. I never been on nobody else's podcast. I always did mine. So if you're another podcast out there, y'all want to collab, let me know. Because, like, I want to see how it feels to be a guest rather than being a host sometimes. Okay? And that's the thing, too. When you guys come out and vibe with me, it feel like I'm the co-host, and this show, you hosted this little snippet today. But nevertheless, y'all, I thank you all so very much. For the people all over the world, like, I was like, dang, I got people in Singapore still, Kenya, I think it says Spain, the UK, like, bro, I'm like, oh my God. But shout out to Texas, y'all. Texas, whoever is in Texas blowing up the download, shout out to you, my friend, because since March started, I just been seeing Texas the most, and then I be seeing like international, like London, Paris, stuff like that. I said London, Paris. But I just been seeing like Ghana, stuff like that. So I thank y'all so very much. I really do. Like those numbers at times, I have my moments where the numbers go up, they go down. But regardless, it's just like, I'm just so glad that you guys are listening to me and even enjoying what I bring to the table, as well as what my guests bring to the table as well. Okay, y'all, if y'all watching the video, yes, I had to put Vaseline on my lips because it's springtime. And I don't know, I thought usually in winter your lips get more chappy, but they cracky looking. But baby, I feel like spring is like, for me, is like, you better put some Vaseline on it. But y'all, without further ado, let's get started for today's vibe of the day. So, as always, if you're new here, welcome, welcome, welcome. And for the OGs, y'all already know what I'm about to say. So, let's sit back, relax, and enjoy hearing or seeing me, whichever way. If you watch me through YouTube or you listen to me on any of the podcast platforms, I want you guys to get comfortable, turn me up on your TVs, PCs, phones, iPads, and your speakers, in your car, whatever, because every vibe of the day is something special. Okay, so in honor of the month of March, like I said, Women's Month and Social Work Month, today we're going to talk about honoring the impact of social workers. If you're new here, I am a student at a HBCU called Morgan State University. I am in the peak of graduating in May 2025. So, and I'm a social work major. I really never thought that they paid a lot of attention to social workers, because growing up, I would hear those little sayings that in order for you to make a lot of money, you have to be a nurse, a doctor, basically in the medical field. That's where you get noticed at. And then when I went to community college, I majored in general studies, studying any and everything, and then I minored in human counseling. And that's when, from there, it motivated me a little bit more to be a social worker, because not only is social work just everywhere, but you don't know how much of an impact that a social worker can make onto people. And for me, my population is children. I really, really have a soft spot for children. And empathy comes into play, because empathy is you putting yourself in their shoes and understanding them, and then trying to understand, like, okay, what if you put yourself in their shoes? How would you want someone to treat you? And that's where social workers come into play, from all different aspects, backgrounds from the population. You have social workers do one-on-one, social workers that do groups, and social workers in the community. Yes, micro, meso, Marco. I think I'm saying it wrong, y'all. I'm so sorry if I am. But I just broke it down to y'all. So, and the social worker I want to be is working with groups. And that is working with a population of hopefully middle school. Right now, I'm at an internship. I have an internship that is at my old elementary and middle school. And I work with two populations, 4th grade and 6th grade. And I'm not going to lie to y'all, I love it. And I want to be a school social worker because education is my passion. Education is the passion. And y'all, I might go back to school to get my doctorate degree in education, because education is something that is very important to me, and it's something that I live for. And that's why I call myself the educational and wellness coach, because education, you learn every day. Even if you don't think you don't learn every day, baby, you're learning something every single day. Like just by us, just I don't care how big or small it is, you're learning every day. But when you're in a school environment, especially elementary and middle school, and then I think back on how it was for me, whew, it was a time. I'll say that it was a time. But times has changed. And now, like, when I go to the internship and I look at the kids, look at the children, I be like, dang, I was once in their shoes. Now I'm the adult. And it's like, wow, like, how did this happen so fast? But y'all, I love it. I'm here for the challenge. And I'm just so I'm blessed. Like regardless of everything that's going on, y'all, I'm so blessed with it. Everything I'm doing, how things have been coming for me. Like I'll tell you this, March has been a month that has been blessing me with so many blessings, impacting education. Everything impacting my education as well as the podcast. Like I've been seeing the podcast grow. Like I said, education. I've been seeing me flourish and blossom into a beautiful person I never thought I could be. So, you know, when they say, like, what would you tell your 11, 10-year-old, 12-year-old self, whatever, I'd be like, girl, you got this. You just got to take your time, get some counseling, and everything going to be all right. Breathe in, breathe out, because y'all, I'm not going to lie to y'all. We all have our breaking points. And my breaking point was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Because, you know, when you grow up, when you literally used to be actually what you want to be when you grow up. Y'all had so many occupations I just didn't know. Fashion designer, a teacher. Y'all, when I was in 6th grade, I wanted to be a boxer because of Ronda Rousey. What else? And then high school, it was like, I want to be a lawyer. But then I always had a passion for children, working with children. So then I was okay, I could be a juvenile delinquency counselor. Because, you know, juvenile, you know, that's with the law. And then dealing with children that's in the system. Where I'm from, y'all, I'm from Baltimore. So it's like, I never been in the system. But, like, I know people that been in it. And, you know, I could help with that. But then I was like, the pandemic happened. And it was just like, I don't think I could even be able to wrap my mind around that. So I was like, you know what? Let's be a social worker. And it's so crazy, y'all. Before I graduated from community college, I took a class that was on juvenile delinquency. And it made me want to go back so bad to the dream I had of, you know what? I'm going to be a counselor for that. But I was like, you know what? I have a passion for education. Regardless, I'm going to still do something impacting with the children. So I said, you know what? You're going to be a school social worker. So you know what you're going to do? You're going to minor in human counseling, get all the knowledge that you could get, transfer your butt on to Morgan State University because it's in the heart, the land of where you from, Baltimore City. So that's what I did. And I will be graduating in May with my bachelor's in social work. And y'all, before we get into it too, I'll tell you this. Everything you do is not easy. It's not. Like, I never would have thought that I would see myself being able to multitask a podcast, going to school, working, being in extracurriculum stuff within school, like honor societies and things like that, y'all. I think I'm probably in 2 or 3 honor societies. I don't even know. That's how bad it is just to keep up everything. But as I say all the time, shout out to everyone out there that is a social worker or know a social worker or wanting to be a social worker, things like that. I guarantee you, my friend, this is worth the while. Like, doing something that you're passionate about is worth the while. Like, and social workers make a good amount of money, okay? Don't let nobody tell you you don't. Especially if you're licensed with that LCSW and that C, baby. Or license the LMSW, that's a licensed master's. And they even have a license LBSW, licensed bachelor social work degree. It's so much, but y'all, it would blew my mind when I entered the field that it was social workers everywhere, even a business social worker. So yeah, don't let nobody tell you, even in general, whatever career you want to do, don't let nobody tell you that the money is not there, because you'll be surprised where the money is at, especially with the positions, the requirements, and the certifications that you need to be where you want to be at. Okay? Okay. So the vibe of the day is honoring the impact of social workers. So let me give y'all the definition of that. I feel like it's plain giant a little bit with what I said, but I like to go in deep. And if you're new here, I do everything by definition, the 5 W's, and a quote. I leave y'all with a quote. I write my stuff down, I say it, and most of the time it's off the dome for other stuff. And yeah, so let's get into it. So the definition is social workers advocate for individuals, families, and communities, helping them overcome challenges such as poverty, mental health issues, and social injustice. Their work involves providing emotional support, connecting people to resources, and fighting systematic change to improve their well-being. Social workers play a crucial role in vulnerable populations, empowering them to navigate life challenges and create a better future. Their efforts are often behind the scenes, but integrating to building stronger within a healthy community. So basically, somewhat a little bit of what I said, but I would say that social workers, we are behind the scenes. And one thing I would like to tell people is to, like, our job is to help you. We're never going to tell you what you need to do. Like, we're not going to tell you, you need to do this, you need to do that. We give suggestions. Also, there's another profession called case managers. Case managers, they do things that involve with, like, clients that help them prepare for whatever goal that they had. And they do the assessing, the processing, the linking, the monetizing, and things like that. Not even just in case management, but also social workers as well. We have to follow those formats. So within anything, when you hear social worker, don't be afraid. Don't be alarmed. Just know that social workers are here to help you. We are behind the scenes. Our job is to help you navigate to whatever situation is going on in your life. We're here to help you navigate it and navigate it for the better. We're never going to tell you what you need to do. And I learned that too, even before I even stepped into the program of School of Social Work at Morgan. It was like, we never tell you what to do. Our job is to help you navigate within whatever you're going through. And now that I'm having my internship as an undergrad until I go for my master's, and when you go for master's, they putting you out on the forefront like that. So yes, don't be alarmed, but our job is to help you. We are behind the scenes, we don't be like, yeah, whoop, whoop, whoop. But social workers, we do a lot, especially within whatever field whatever population you're dealing with. It's a lot that we're doing. School, the medical, business, y'all. It's a whole list that goes on that says about social workers. And we do a lot. Like, shout out to all the social workers. Me, for instance, I would go to school for grad school. My focus would be mental health, dealing with children, as you guys know, and wellness, as you guys know, educational purposes, things like that. That's my passion. So even with that, I could do for school. I think it's something else I could do. I forgot what it is. I think you could do it in the hospital. I'm not for sure, but it's so many other places where you can use, to be a social worker. But as long as you got that license, it's like, okay, you a big dog. So excuse me. So yeah. We're often behind the scenes. Like, social workers are often behind the scenes, but baby, they get it done. They get things done. They advocate for individuals, like I said, too. Individuals, family, in the community. Shout out to the social workers that are in the community, because that's a big population. I thought about the community, but that's not for me. Due to the fact that, it's nonprofit. I understand that, but sometimes for me, I don't like being outside that long. And sometimes you got to be on the forefront of things like that. But I have nothing against it. Like, I've never, like, recently at Morgan, we had a majors meeting with all different types of social workers and alumni. It was one alumni. She came, she broke down the whole thing of how it is for her as a social worker dealing with community, and I was like, you know what, girl, I like that. But for me, it's like, I know good and well I would not be able to just handle all the policies and stuff, because it's still taking me a minute to fully be comfortable with policies. So for me, it's individuals and groups dealing with children. Family is also a big one too. At one point in time, y'all gonna laugh. At one point in time with law, I wanted to be a family and child lawyer, or family and marriage counselor, well, lawyer. And I was like, because for me, family is a big thing too, as well as when it comes to education and wellness, family is a big thing. And I was like, you know what? I want to deal with that. But I was like, hold up. I feel like, the saying too, we got to leave it at the door. I feel like if one of the family members would do something that remind me of my family members, that's one thing too. You got to be careful. You got to learn your triggers and things like that. If they was to do something that remind me of one of my family members, I might have flipped. I might would have flipped. So I was like, you know what? I have nothing against the family. All aspects, let me just say that, all aspects of social work, dealing with whatever population, I have nothing against it. But I know for me, my passion is the children, and the children is what I love, and I'm going to serve them the best way I can, okay? But yeah, shout out to all the social workers, again, that's dealing with individuals, family, and the community, because it's a lot. It's a lot to even just be able to put yourself out there and to do the things that you do. Because sometimes, like, a lot of people that I know that are social workers, they say social work I didn't choose social work chose me. And I feel that way too, because dealing with children, like my cousins, my friends and stuff, their nieces, nephews, kids or whatever, I feel like they grasp onto me quickly and the way I talk to them and stuff like that. So that's what also drew my attention too, but also education is a big one for me. So yeah, there's a lot y'all gonna learn from this, and I'm so excited because this is my area. This is me. This is what I live for. So yeah. So who are the unsung heroes in social work, and how do their efforts positively impact the community? So social work unsung heroes are often frontline workers who dedicate their time and energy to helping others. So that impacts with individual social workers, family social workers, and community social workers. Any type of social worker who put themselves out on the front line for their clients or whatever population involving their clients, they're the unsung heroes. Shout out to all of y'all. These workers include caseworkers, child welfare professionals, and mental health counselors. That's like a brief, but in general, it's everyone from school social workers, social workers in the hospital, nursing homes, business social workers, social workers that deal with grief and loss, social workers that work in Jesus, y'all, I just had it on the tip of my tongue, that works in like the system. So shout out to all of y'all. Their efforts provide a hold on, y'all, let me see, hold up. Okay, sorry about that. So their efforts provide a amazing support system for families facing crisis, individuals experiencing trauma, and communities in need of assistance. So through their passion and dedication, social workers contribute to improving lives and strengthening communities, not the receiving. Wait, what? Wait a minute, hold up. Sorry, y'all, because my notes all over the place. Down, I'm like, okay, now we go. So I'm going to say that again. So social workers, their compassion and dedication is to improve lives and strengthen communities in the best way possible. So every social worker, like I said, our job is to help y'all in whatever shape or form we can. We're not going to force you into anything. We're not going to tell you what you should and you should not do. Our job is to help you navigate through the goal that you want in your life. And I understand at times things happen. Sometimes, relapse and things happen, so like, I'll never forget my dean. She said she was a social worker in the hospital. She said that, when we be like, I want things to go back to normal, we have to learn a new norm. Have to learn a new normal. And I'll never forget that, because like I had moments in my life where I was like, I just want these things to go back to normal. And if I look back years ago on things that I thought was normal versus now, it's like, we need that. You need to shift the gears in life. And that's what I like about social workers. They're helping you for your new norm. We're not forcing you, but we're here to help you in every way we can with the services we're providing. And most of the services are billing services. So, they're getting paid services, things like that. But nevertheless, social workers are on the front line. Every social worker is out there doing things that they have to do to get things done for their clients in whatever way possible no matter what situation it is, crisis, family situations, mental health, substance abuse, whatever. Social workers are out there on the front line doing what is needed because this is what they live for and this is what found them. So, what are some of the biggest challenges social workers face and how can we better support them? So, I'll say this as a person that is an undergrad and is at an internship dealing with children, I will say this. One thing that I notice about me is that I noticed that with the children, y'all, I tend to sometimes forget. we love the kids, yes, we love the children, but sometimes I forget we cannot display certain things to them if we don't want them displayed to us. So like for me, like emotions, and it's crazy because I had a lesson on this with my group of girls not too long ago. I was like, you know what, but that leaving it at the door situation, y'all, when I tell y'all, when I was like, you know, we're gonna leave it at the door, I'm gonna leave it at the front door. Yesterday we had session. I'm trying to find a little note, y'all, that I had. So they learned about like how to deal with their emotions and self-awareness. Let me tell y'all, I get it. And the crazy thing is, like, for certain schools, they have the kids eat early in the morning. So it was just like, oh my gosh, they got the kids eating early in the morning. Like, most of the time, their brain is here and it is not here. So it just be a lot going on. So yesterday they had started session again, y'all. And I don't know if it's just me or what, but I feel like they like to take advantage of like the time I be giving them. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Sometimes I feel like they be taking advantage of the time I'm trying to give them. And I'm just like, really? So, one of the things that I do to prevent burnout and that my supervisor tell me, you know, self-care is a must. And you got to catch yourself before you get yourself somewhere. And I understand we all have our days, but y'all, yesterday I was so exhausted. But I'm looking at them, I'm like, I know they ain't playing with me. I just know. And I was like, leave at the door. And I told them, you know, I said, I had a moment. I had a moment with y'all. And I had to teach them to leave at the door because the lesson was on emotions and self-awareness and how to better yourself. So I'll say that for social workers, and the social workers in the field, the biggest challenges sometimes that we have is like our emotions, dealing with emotions, the caseload, the notes, and everything like that. And let's get a little bit deeper into it, y'all. So social workers are often faced with high caseloads, emotional burnout, and limited resources, making it difficult to provide comprehensive support. Social workers may not always have access to the tools and support they need. To better support social workers, we need to increase funding for social services. We need to provide mental health resources for workers and realize that their contributes through increasing comprehension and professional develop opportunities. So, social workers get burned out easily, especially if you're dealing with a high case, dealing with children, families, the community. Every area, every aspect gets burned out. You're going to get burned out. Trust me. Like, I see my supervisor, she gets burnt out, and I just be like, oh my gosh. She get burnt out, but she handles it so well. She handles the burnout so well. Like, even though sometimes for me, I'd be like, I cannot take a break. I can't take a break. But she'd be like, you know what? Sometimes you need to take a break because if you don't take a break, you know, are you even practicing self-care? So we have, like, I'll never forget the first time I experienced a real busy day for my supervisor, because most of the time for me, the busy days will be the days that I was not there. And I used to be like, why every time I'm here, it's busy in general, but it don't get busy. But y'all, it got busy one day and I was just like, whoa. I was in shock because I was like, this is what's really going on. I was like dealing with children, especially in middle school, elementary, stuff will hit you like that. Stuff gonna hit you like that. And y'all, I'll never forget, we came in the door and it hit us like, pew. I was like, hold up, wait a minute. This is actually happening? And I was just like, we were in go mode. It was like, you know what? You got to do what you got to do. You have to be prepared for this. You got to be prepared for the things that are coming your way. Because y'all, when I tell y'all, it was so scary. I was so scared. I was like, am I built for this? Is this really happening? Like, it was so scary. But it was a learning experience that I lived for. I loved it. And it was it was worth the while. It was worth the while. And I will never forget it. But I will say that it was challenging for me at one point in time, because I never thought that I'd be able to just sit there and be like, okay, when this happens for me, what's the next step? When it's my time for me, when I become a social worker, a school social worker, what will be the next step for me? Like, how will I be able to handle these situations that come my way and things like that? Like, how would I be able to just take everything in? Because I lied to y'all that, like, when I seen, like, being able to observe, like, how IEP meetings go, how crisis happen and things like that, it's just like, this is happening. Like, this is really happening. Because versus when you were a student, when I was a student there, I was like, you really didn't see much, but you heard much about it. But being able to be on the forefront and seeing it, it's like, look, all hands on deck. And a social worker, sometimes, if you have a really good social worker at the school, everything is being thrown at them, literally. Not even just in the school, but wherever you're at. Ever facility, organization you're part of, they're always going to look out. They're always going to look to you, because you know that you're going to look out for the client and know what's best for the client. Flat like that. So, yes, social workers are faced with caseloads, emotions, emotional burnout, and sometimes limited resources. Like, sometimes when we have the limited resources, we got to look out there. We got to, put ourselves on the forefront for our clients to make sure they're getting the best services that they can. And for us and people in general to help social workers, just advocate with us, work with us, take our time, and just be able to work with us. You work with me, I work with you. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. So, when do social workers have the greatest influences on individuals and families in need? So, social workers have the greatest influences during a time of crisis, such as child abuse investigations, mental health emergencies, or displacement due to natural diseases. Natural disasters. Sorry. So, in these moments, they act as a bridge to, connect the services, provide urgent support, advocate, and emotional guidance. Their expertise can help individuals and families navigate complex systems and overcome challenges, making it a significant difference in their lives when they need it most. So, like I said, going back to school social work, when it comes to things like that, empathy plays a big role. Because as a social worker, most of the time, I feel like all the time, you have to put yourself in your client's shoes to understand how they feel. And what would you want your social worker to do if this situation, especially dealing with families and children, you got to do what's best for them. From the vouchers, the support within anything, dealing with mental, physical, well, mainly mental, physical too, but mainly, they do like the mental health stages, and just being able to listen to them. Being an active listener is very, very important within the social work world, regardless of what you do. Social work is being in the being in that role of a social worker, no matter what population you're serving, and no matter what path you're taking in social work. You have to put yourself in their shoes, be an active listener, build rapport, open-ended questions, things like that. Y'all, role play whatever profession you are deciding to be in. Role play is very important. I'm gonna tell y'all something. When I was at community college, role playing played a big role, because I'm gonna tell y'all something. I was scared to death. Because you would have to, they were real situations that we were doing, real situations that we were, acting out. And I'll never forget, with those type of role plays, I had to do it with my professor. Mind y'all, during the pandemic, so we would role play. I'll never forget, I role played with my professor. I can remember her face right now, but I cannot remember her name. And we did role play. And I was just like, I was so nervous. Mind y'all, I'm like, okay, I'm a general studies major. I'm studying any and everything. And I got a role play, and it's like, you know what? Role plays prepare you for any situation to come. And when I tell y'all, the role play, when I did it with my professor, it helped me in so many ways, because I was so scared. And then when I had to do it again in community college, not community college, at a 4-year college, I was scared again, because I'm like, oh, okay, now we got to really do this in person. Like, we really have to see each other. Like, we really have to look each other in the eye. I have to act like a social worker, or you have to act like a client, or whatever case may be. Y'all, when I did it in practice, shout out to practice classes, it was so amazing to me. It was mind-blowing. It just it made me feel like, you know what, I know what I'm doing. I don't need to be acting like I don't know, because it's all practice. It's not going to be perfect. The point is to make sure also too, I learned, don't make promises you cannot keep. Especially as a social worker, do not make promises you cannot keep, y'all. And the crazy thing is, y'all, if y'all watching on the video and y'all see me looking at the laptop, I just got an email from one of my professors about a paper that we are doing in social work about a population that I just mentioned, about child abuse and neglect. And y'all, that paper is very, very, very intense. And there's some areas I need to change. It's nothing major, but it's just little things. And let me tell you something. Certain programs, social work programs, when you graduate, they might make you take a test or do a paper. I don't know. Morgan, we have to write a 16-page paper, and we have to do a comprehension test. A couple years ago, they were doing 30 pages. I know, it's a research paper. And I'm so glad that they didn't give us 30, but I'm a little bit upset because my pages does not fit to 16. I think it's like 23. Anywho, so my professor was the reason why I'm sharing this too, because it impacts with social work. And for the ones that are preparing to be social workers, or who are social workers and understand where I'm coming from, when you do research papers, you have to be very, very, very careful what you're looking for in dates and times and stuff like that. But I tell y'all, I did child abuse and neglect because of I'm preparing to be a school social worker. And some of the stuff that I've seen, because you can see neglect. You can see neglect, when a child's not being taken care of properly. Abuse, you could see it if you see marks and bruises, things like that. But neglect, I feel like, for me personally, is you can see that honestly with their a child's appearance, or from how they eat and things like that. So, y'all, some of the research I have, that's the thing too. certain websites and stuff, they're very like sensitive on it. And for me, when I thought of it, because I wanted to do mental health, because the world is mental health, but I was like, okay, let me try a different aspect, and I did it, and I'm just like, I didn't bomb it, like it didn't bomb bad, but it's just like a little bit of stuff that needs to be like critiqued. But y'all, when I was sitting here, because I'm talking to y'all and I'm looking, I'm just like, OMG. Excuse me. I'm like, OMG. And I have a meeting with her too soon, so I'm like, okay, I'm ready for it. Cause y'all, we on spring break. It don't feel like it, cause y'all still was doing homework like I was supposed to. But nevertheless, y'all, like in the field of not only just when you out in the field, y'all, school is a big part too. Undergrad, grad school, all that. Like you would think, I'll say undergrad help you think on your feet for grad school, and when it comes to you being in the field, because I'll never forget this moment. I feel like I'll never forget this moment about this paper, because it will help me when I get in the field, and then for grad school when I see it, when I'm doing the hard heavy work with the hard heavy hitters, social workers, it's gonna be like, I remember this, and the signs. And my supervisor, she's teaching me and helping me with this stuff too, because it's like, whoa, it's for real. So when it comes to like when social workers play a great influence, I feel like we play a great influence on everything, but especially in those moments that our clients need us the most is when it's stepping stones, like boom, boom, pow, pow, pow. It's like, okay, this is something serious. Okay, very, very serious. And it's all hands on deck, you know? So I'll say like that is really, 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 really a big one that I'll say too. Not only just within like social workers have a great influence within, individuals in need and families when they need it, but even the little small things, especially if a social worker that's very caring, a social worker that shows a lot of empathy, builds rapport, open-ended questions, displays open-ended questions, and is very a really good active listener. That's another thing too. People fail to realize when you are in this profession, you have to listen and you got to write good notes. You have to be a good listener and write good notes, because sometimes certain stuff, like certain situations that may happen with my client, you might got to take it to court. Your supervisor, either CM and stuff like that, you want to make sure you got every bit of detail you can. Because let me tell y'all something too. Me, undergrad, and all my other undergrad friends and people that, got their BSW and stuff like that. Process recording is a big one. Process recording is preparing you also for the notes. Process recordings wants to see how good you are a listener and how good your social work skills are. For me, process recordings at this moment, because I'm BSW, not licensed nothing yet, most of my process recordings / notes are groups. And I'll say I'd rather do groups more than individuals, because sometimes with individuals, it's like you really got to dig a little deeper. But sometimes people say with groups, you got to dig deeper too, because it's multiple, personalities and stuff like that in a room. And I'd be like, probably because of me in a group setting, regardless, I'm a big observer. So I'm going to get it. But an individual is like, I'm going to need a little bit more time, and I'm going to just really be like, let me dig a little deeper, but nevertheless, y'all, I feel like within whatever aspect that's going on in life with a client, a social worker come into play for big or small, whatever that's coming their way, because they know what's best for their client. They come through and they get it done, and they make sure like, look, we're gonna get this done ASAP, especially if it's just like you can't hold back on. But before you do that, you got to make sure you're obsessing and you're doing everything that you need to do before you just say, look, boom. And you got to make sure, one thing too that I learned is, because I'm a friendly person. You got to know your clients. You got to know your clients. Even with the children, you got to know them good. Because, sometimes they be like, look, they'll put an okie doke on you in a heartbeat. And then you be like, dang, they really just play with me like that. But all in all, y'all, when you are a good social worker and you there for your clients, whatever aspect, whatever population level you're dealing with, they're most definitely going to feel comfortable with you. Social workers, caseworkers, counselors, all that. It's just like I said, most people that I know say that social work found them. It was, they found them. And they knew for a fact, like, this is for me. So I feel like this is finding me, like Finding Nemo type stuff. So, number 4, where can people turn to for social work services, and how do these professions bridge support gaps? So, social work, like I said, is everywhere. Let me find the picture that have, like, I'm gonna just name a few of them, because I was like, whoa. Like, I'll never forget, I did a project on a population that deals with groups. So I never knew it was a business social worker, and we got a chance to meet one in person. So I was so in shock. So here's a list of things. Well, this is a list of things of what you can do with your social work degree that can impact you within the long run. You have mental social workers, child welfare social workers, hospice social workers, mental health social workers, therapists, counselors, school social workers, health educators, case management, research, juvenile court, substance abuse, adoption specialist, policy, analysis, program director, career counselor, child life specialist, college professors, city councilman, a lawyer. I never knew that. I thought you always had to have a law degree. Grief counseling, wellness coach, nonprofit organization director, nursing home director, community service programming, community health advisor, crisis intervention, housing specialist, group home director, training, and the list goes on and on. Y'all, when I was like, whoa. But the one that stood out to be the most was really, 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 really was the business one, because business is a big thing. Business play a big role, especially when it comes to social workers that have their own private practice. And private practice is like outside of meeting clients on your time and their time. It could be on Zoom or in person or hybrid type settings. For me, I always said, once I get everything situated, get my license and things like that, I would love to have a private practice, but the private practice would be for children, because I have nothing against adults. I have nothing against, helping adults. But I just feel like I said, everybody knows what their passion, what's the passion that they have within when they grow up and the population that they want to serve. So children will always be a population that I would love to serve. Children, 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 and children. So, I have a really soft spot for children, but also too, I know how it is to be in that predicament and how it is to deal with things, with growing up in general. Growing up, and like for me, I grew up in Baltimore City, so I understand how it feels. And you had those moments where yes, you can rely on your parents, but also too, having people at your school, on the forefront at your school, be able to help you is such a blessing. Being able to have people at your school that's on the front line to help you with things like that is such a blessing, because everybody needs somebody, and you don't know who can help you in many, many, many ways. Okay? And I just thinking back and looking at the social workers that put a big impact onto the children, and like counselors and things like that. Some of them really reached to the point where some of the social workers, counselors, employees put a big impact on them that they're like down there social workers social workers and counselors themselves. That's so amazing. And I like the reason why for me, my backstory is I had it, middle school, transitioning from elementary on to middle school. They call it junior high. I was not, I wouldn't say, I always stay up to par. My parents made sure that, I was well taken care of, still is. But you know how they say, like, you're gonna let a child be a child, and that's what it was. Growing up, I feel old like just saying that. Growing up in my day, years ago, I would look at other girls my age and be like, she looked much older than me, or she's doing stuff that I don't do. Versus now, y'all, with the school I'm at, I be seeing the girls with lashes. I be like, hold up. I didn't wear those. I didn't start wearing lashes until like 2 years ago. I know. I want to say a year ago. Like full blown, just like getting sets done, because like for me, was anything involved my eyes, I'm a cry river. I'm going to cry a river. It took me 3 years to finally get my eyebrows arch. Y'all, baby steps on everything. When it came to hair, that was one thing. When it comes to any female, I do not care. Hair, depression is real. And I wore my natural hair proudly in a ponytail, buns, whatever. However, if you're watching the video, you see how my head is shaped with this wig on. I have an egghead. So imagine a child, like imagine me, younger me, years ago. Chunky, egghead, and a ponytail on my head. Sometimes I would say, why do I look like this? Why people judge you? Because of natural hair and stuff. And I'll never forget when Jeanette Monáe said in her song, I remember when you laughed at me. Wait, she said, I remember when you laughed at me and you rated me a 6. Y'all, I think I'm saying it wrong. I remember when you laughed and I cut my perm off and you rated me a 6. I was like, dang. But she said, but I remember back then with the tears in my eyes, I always knew I was the If I could tell my 11-year-old self that, I think my confidence would have been sky high. But I'll never forget the social workers and the counselors created a group called Destiny's Bound to help girls that were going through any type of mental social issue. And I'll just never forget those women stood on a pedestal and helped someone like me, because now it helped me understand that you don't have to fit in with everyone. You don't have to follow the latest trend. It's okay to look the way you are. It took me years. It took me years to get myself together. So, to all the girls, boys, everybody out there, do not let no one tear you down. Do not let no one tear you down. Because I shout out to them social workers and them counselors. Till this day, they still at the school. Well, one counselor, she left, but I remember her face and her name. She helped me so much. The other counselor, she's still there. One of the social workers, God rest her soul. My supervisor has her position for like, I want to say 10, 11 years, I think now. But y'all, don't let nobody ever judge you. Don't let nobody ever try to take your joy, do anything to you, because y'all, I lie to you not. I was in a dark place. I felt so dark. I felt alone. Yes, I had my parents, my mom, yes. But it's like when you know, like, your parents not always going to be with you. Parents and guardians is not always going to be with you. And when I had that moment where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm starting middle school, I had all the jitters in the world. And, first day of school, your mom ain't walking you to class. Elementary school, that's it. When I did it my first time in middle school, and then, I seen everything, I was like, wow. And then I'm glad I did join that group, and I'm glad I did become a Destiny's Bound child. Well, girl, because it helped me in the long run, to the point where it inspired me to help do the same thing with younger girls that were in the same position as me. And it was so crazy when I'll never forget my first day at internship, when my supervisor said that she's going to put me with 6th grade. Y'all, I flipped out a little bit. The inside of me was like, I know she didn't just say 6th grade. I just know she didn't. But then, like, over the months, I'm like, I'm so glad she did, because, like, I'm learning and I see myself in them. And the empathy that I'm giving them, that the social worker and counselors gave me when I was in a position, it was like a breath of fresh air that just helped me in so many ways. Because you never know how much of an impact that someone can put on you, especially within the school environment, in your community, of individual, of anything. So when it comes to social workers, y'all, I tell y'all, and from experience, you'll be surprised who can help you in so many ways, especially on a mental level. Someone like me, it took me a good minute, to even, and I'm still learning my emotions. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Everything I say is raw and uncut. Everything I say and do is raw and uncut to y'all. We all have our moments. We all have our downfalls. But I guarantee you, do not forget the people that was there for you. And don't forget them. Social workers play a big role in that too. Regardless how big or small the situation is, they're going to make sure you get the services that you need, and you get whatever goal you have set. They're going to make sure you meet it. No matter how long it takes, long as you meet that goal. And I love that, because social workers are willing to do what they have to do, even if they put themselves on the forefront or play in the background. For me, I feel like I would play in the background, because sometimes I don't like the spotlight, y'all. That's just me. That's just me. But at times, we have to come out that behind that curtain and come in the front. And I learn that every day. Learn that every single day. Like, my supervisor has a joke. She called me Jaybird. Like, when I first started, she was like, I'm gonna put you out there. Not like, oh, I'm going to put you on blast. But no, I'm going to put you out there. I'm going to teach you as much as I can. And then I want you to fly like a bird. Like a birdie leaving the mother's nest. And from that point, I was on fire. And she was like, you know what? Jaybird really flying. And y'all, at first when she gave me that name, it was just like Jaybird. But it's funny and it's creative. J for Jordans, because, like, I'm a shoe fanatic. So J for Jordan and Bird, because I'm flying. And I love that, because it does define who I am. And I shout out to having internships, because they also prepare you for the world as well. And it really has a big impact on you, because you remember those things from internship. It will help you once you get in your career. And I know for a fact I'm going to remember all this stuff from undergrad, and once I go to grad school, and once I put my foot in the door for when I become a social worker, a school social worker officially, because these moments last. You have your moments where you were up, have when you were down. But baby, social workers are really on fire, on point. So if you know a social worker, know a person that's in the field of becoming a social worker, or want to, whatever impact the social work, give them all they flowers, applaud them, love on them, let them know, like, you got this, because it's not easy. And we don't get a lot of recognition, but now we are. I'm gonna make sure of that. And last, so we didn't do number 4. Y'all, I'm talking, I didn't even do number 4, I think. But I was basically talking, but whatever. So where can people turn for social work services? And how do these professionals bridge support gaps? People can turn to community organizations, nonprofit agencies, schools, and hospitals for social work services. Social workers provide access to resources like food, housing, mental health counseling, and educational support. They also advocate for their clients by connecting them with legal services, healthcare, and employment opportunities. These bridges the gaps between individuals and the services they need to improve their well-being. Like I said, we are here to help you in the most best way possible. We're not the type to tell you what you're going to do and what you need to do. If you come to us with problems and things like that, especially within the school, I'm saying a lot for school because that's my area. But in general, vouchers are a big thing too. Every social worker has vouchers. Bus tokens, food, food vouchers. They do provide mental health counseling, because, like, not even just for the kids, but also for families. Here in where I do my internship at, and I feel like it's in Baltimore. It's global now. It's a online server called Hazel. Hazel is a online server that is for children that are in the grades of kindergarten through 12th grade. They are online counselors mental health counselors that are licensed, that sees children inside or outside of school, as well as their parents, for counseling them within whatever aspect that they're dealing with when it comes to mental health. Yeah, I sat on a meeting with the company, the people who, the headquarters for it or whatever, to help us break it down on like how to use it for our children. And y'all, I was like, where was Hayes Flat when I was in high school? But I think it came out like 4 or 5 years ago. So I was like, shoot, I was already out the door. So, but anyway, shout out to things like that. That's one good thing that I like, because sometimes social workers cannot do as much within the school system right then and there for our children. However, even within other aspects, so like within the community, within the individuals and families, that's why it's important to have multiple resources, and it's important to network, especially within social work, regardless of whatever aspect you are. Like my supervisor knows social workers that are in schools, that are substance abuse counselors or social workers in the hospitals, business, whatever. It is important to connect with others, especially when it comes to social work, because you never know what you need that can help your client for the better. Like, especially with community organizations. Like for back to school, if you know someone that's real big in the community and that's a social worker and just doing like back to school drive and stuff, let them know for that. For nonprofit agencies, when I think of nonprofit for school wise, I think of like organizations that impacts with extra curriculum for the kids. School, automatically I think of, the vouchers to help them. Hospitals for social workers, like healthcare and checkups and things like that, because social workers provide a lot of resources, from the food, the mental health, the housing, and the educational support. So not only does this happen in one type of social worker, but every social worker is going to help you in any case, any scenario you're going on that you have going on. And for me, I speak a lot about school because I see it firsthand, and that's my passion. And correct me if I'm wrong too, because I love to hear y'all feedback and input. Every social worker, I feel like for me, this would be, because caseworkers, case managers, caseworkers, they have to have resources like this. And most of the time when they do suggest resources to their client is in their community. And I see that also within every social worker, regardless of, where it's at. If it's in your community, most of the time they suggest caseworkers, social workers and stuff, they suggest having resources in their clients' community because it's easy for them. And especially if your client is comfortable with their community, give them the resources that is there, and you'll be surprised. Like for me, I would be shocked like when I hear some stuff that's involved in my community, because the school that I intern at is in my community. And when they suggest things for the school and stuff like that, I'd be like, dang, this is in the community. Or I'd be like, hey, look, you do this, do that, So giving feedback and receiving it is a good thing. Networking is very, very important. So for all social workers, we should know sources like that. But sometimes, y'all, we do get brain farts. And I see it firsthand. Like sometimes you be like, let me go check my notes. Let me go check this. Let me check that. But resources is very, very important, because like I mentioned, as social workers, we're here to help you. We're here to give you any and every service that you need. Anything that you need. We're not here to judge. We're not here to tell you what to do and what not to do. We're here to make sure that whatever you need, whatever you want, we're making sure that you get it at all means. Because it's life. Everyone needs someone. You never know who you may run into in the long run. And you never know, like, a social worker may impact you on going to school, counselors, whatever. Because I hear stories too within my classmates, like someone dealing with foster care, things like that. Their workers help them, motivate them also to be social workers and things like that. So, yeah, y'all never know how much a social worker can help you, and you never know how much you can help a social worker, y'all. Trust me, you never know. Like the children I work with mainly right now are females, and they put a big impact onto me. By me being a good couple years older than them, they put a big impact on me, because I'm like, wow, I haven't been here for so long. I've been here for like a good couple months, and I'm already making things shake and making impacts on them, and they're putting an impact on me because the services that they're receiving from me is impacting them in a very, 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 very beautiful way. And it's like, wow, I'm doing something right, and I cannot wait to see where else it goes. So, like I said, all the social workers out there, counselors, all that, continue doing you, and don't give up, and display all the correct codes of ethics dealing with social work, okay? But I ain't gonna get into that, but y'all know. And lastly, why is it crucial to realize and appreciate social workers and creating lasting changes? So I love, y'all new here, I love the why. I love having the question why last, because that just summarizes everything. Everything. Because that just hits the point of everything I said and what was the vibe of the day mainly about. So, recognizing social workers is essential because it highlights the crucial role they play in creating positive, lasting changes in communities, individuals, and families. By acknowledging their efforts, we can ensure that social workers receive the support and resources they need to continue their life-changing work. This recognition also encourages more individuals to enter the field, expanding social work reach and improving the lives of even more people. Ultimately, social workers are a stepping stone of building a more equality and compassionate society. And the quote that I'm going to leave you all with today is, social workers are the unsung heroes whose compassion and dedication helps heal communities and transform lives one person at a time. Y'all, I say this all the time, like, this vibe was just something. I feel like every vibe of the day I give y'all is very, very touching, and it hits me in so many different ways, because not only is it hitting me, it's going to hit you. It might not hit you now. Sometimes you got to, rewind, but if you know it's going to hit somebody in the long run and things like that, let them know, because everybody needs to know something. But as always, I hope you guys learned a few things. I'm replacing learned something to, I hope you guys learned a few things, at least 3 or 4 facts or something, or new things, because I feel like when you listen to something, it's no way in the world you could only be stuck on one thing. Multiple things have to stand out to you. At least 3. 3 is the max. Like, 3 things should stand out to you. Be like, whoa, this really got my attention, So, as always, I hope you guys learned a few things from today's vibe of the day, impacting social workers, impacting honoring social workers out there. As always, shout out to all the social workers that's in the field, that's about to get in the field, and that's willing to be in the field. You got this. This is all do or die. It's like, nah, but you got this. Like I say too, a lot of people told me that social work found them, and most of the time it is like that. Social work find you, or social work is for you. Whatever you do within your career, if you know it's for you, do it for you, and make sure that you're doing it for a purpose and not just, not just because. So whatever you do in life, do it with a purpose, do it with grace. And also remember that you have people to serve, and you have people that are counting on you. Okay? So as always, I thank you guys so very much for taking the time out of your busy days to listen to me. I hope you guys learned a few things. As always, spring is here, baby. Spring is here, my friends. So I hope you enjoy yourself. Let your hair down. Wear your comfortable spring clothes. Take a walk. Hang out with your friends, family. Practice that self-care. Do whatever you have to do, but love on yourself and enjoy yourself and enjoy this beautiful weather. Okay? I thank you all so much for your time and your patience. I thank y'all for y'all support, comments, like, share, subscribe, all that. And as always, you guys will hear from me next Wednesday. I love you all, and I cannot wait to see y'all. And I cannot wait for y'all to get more vibing with E, as well as vibing out with guests. Bye.